God of rock, thank you for this chance to kick ass. We are your humble servants. Give us the power to blow people's minds with our electric rock. In your name, we pray. Amen.
There's no reaction. We're just vibing.
I don't know what to say.
It's so good.
What do you do?
This is fantastic. I've watched it, I've had to watch it already 3 times this year, including the time we just watched for this video, and it's good every single time. It's one of those nostalgic hits that you never disappoints.
Yeah, for sure. I was scared when I came back to this for the first time in a long time a few years ago, because this was a childhood staple of mine, that it wouldn't hold up. And I was like, holy cow, this filmmaking is on a whole nother level that I did not appreciate as a kid. So we recorded a commentary for this like last week, and since then I've watched this movie 3 times. I'm not complaining. I love this movie even more. I watched it once to take notes, once for Richard Linklater and Jack Black's commentary, and once with the kids' commentary. And I watch a lot of commentaries on the special features of the Blu-rays and stuff. And this is easily one of the best. It's hilarious. It is educational. They're explaining every shot. So yeah, we're gonna dig into this movie hard because I love this thing.
It's so good, so good.
The title sequence is also amazing.
The opening of the movie has this one shot. And
yeah,
you could
nice
probably
tracking shot,
yeah.
kind of like Halloween. It's a Steadicam shot, and it goes over. They've got the names of like the production company. The name of the School of Rock is a neon light sign.
So we do that shot, right? We're outside, and then it's going into the building of like this, I don't know, like bar or
yeah, it's a POV of a
where-
person walking into a bar and walking into a concert being put on by Jack Black's band.
Yeah, which is our main character, Dewey Finn. And he is just having a blast on stage while his other band members are just like playing.
Well, at first he's like, I'm not loud enough. I can't hear myself.
Oh, yeah.
He's just being...
Turn me up.
Yeah, he's being an asshole, selfish asshole about it. And then he immediately goes to, yeah, my solo is so awesome. I'm going to stage dive now.
Yeah, so he's like going crazy. And then you get like these people in the crowd being like, these guys suck. And then he's going crazy. And like you said, he's like, I'm just going to dive.
Yeah.
And he dives and no one catches it. So he falls flat on his face. And then we get this awesome transition into him just laying in his bed at his friend's apartment.
He just wants to rock, man. But he's also not very good at it.
True.
All right.
There you go. Yeah, he's very passionate.
Yeah.
And I love his attitude to everything. He's like, he doesn't give a crap about anything else.
No, it's
but
just about
rocking.
rock, man. Yeah.
And we very much get that feeling in this next scene where he gets woken up by, so he's living with his roommate. And he's totally just mooching off of him, not paying rent or anything. And the roommate's girlfriend comes in and is like,
Oh, give it up! Your band has never made 2 cents!
Patty, come on, I'm on this.
Oh, you're on this?
And then the girlfriend is played by Sarah Silverman, another comedian, who's really great being the nagging
she's
girlfriend.
so good. She's just nagging, nagging.
I think in the commentary they call her the Wicked Witch.
Well, it's funny. Well, the banter between her and Jack Black is just so good. It's just like, pay us, like, get a job, be a real person, stop rocking. And then Jack Black's just like, stop being a bitch.
You don't understand. My music is changing the world.
Yeah. I love this right here.
I've been mooching off you for years, and it's never been a problem until she showed up. Just dump her, man.
Yeah, well, if you don't come up with some money, she's gonna dump me. She's fed up.
Really? Because that would be a good thing. She's a nightmare.
Come on! I may never have another girlfriend. I mean, just come on!
So now we have the problem, right? We have to make money.
Classic problem.
Classic problem. So Dewey is calling around trying to find money, and then someone calls the apartment. So Ned is a substitute teacher, which Dewey likes to call him a temp. He's temping.
Yeah. Way to just degrade your friend like that. Yeah. Wow. You just don't even respect him at all.
Not a temp. So we get a call, and he learns that you can make $600 a week from temping. So he's like, yes, I am Ned. And he is going to go temp.
And I love what he does here with the phone, which was apparently improvised. It just said fumble with the phone, but Jack Black made it super long. And it's a beat longer than it needs to be, where he's like wriggling the phone cable around the speaker. Hi, this is Ned Schneebly.
It gave me vibes from like
I love the voice.
like Home Alone when he
Yeah.
does that recording.
Yeah.
He takes the job and then we get to the school. And it's just some of the things he's saying to the principal. It's just so funny, but like, how do you hire this person?
You know what? You don't have to worry about me because I'm a hard ass. And if a kid gets out of line, I got no problem smacking him in the head.
No.
Yes.
We don't use corporal punishment here.
We're back.
Verbal abuse?
Mr. Schneebly, if you have any problems,
But she's the principal, played by Joan Cusack, who is just absolutely lovely in this role.
Oh, one of the best actors in this whole movie. So we get into the classroom, and right off the bat, Dewey's just like, so I'm hungover.
Who knows what that means?
Doesn't that mean you're drunk?
No. It means
little
I was
kid's at the
drunk
Sopranos.
yesterday.
It means you're an
He
alcoholic.
plays Bobby Jr.
Wrong.
So, contrary to popular belief, all the kids were actors with agents, but not big actors or anything. They were professional actors, so they
Okay.
were ready to go. But what really gives this film the upper hand is that they did a lot of time rehearsing with Jack.
We think that he's kind of scared about being funny around us because he's been in like adult movies and he's like, he curses a little bit.
Does that distract you?
No.
Not at all?
We get gold stars when we master the material covered in class. How do we get gold stars if we just have recess?
Oh boy.
So he just like lets them do recess, right?
Yeah.
And then we come back the next day, and he's like, do recess again. Like, I don't want to teach you anything. And then Summer is like, I want to learn. Like, I want you to teach me.
Our parents pay $15,000 a year.
Yeah, to not just do recess. So he stands up and starts having this awesome speech on the man. How the man takes everything, how the man ruins everything, and we used to fight the man with rock. And the man has now even taken that.
With a little thing called MTV.
That comes back, that's why I mentioned that.
And then he rips up the demerits poster. They're talking about the
yeah.
gold stars and the demerits, and Summer is explaining how that works. And then he just rips up the poster, and I love how you can see Miranda Cosgrove like just slink into her chair in pain while that is happening.
Yeah, it's really good because just the whole premise of the movie, it has a point, right?
You understand the mindset of these characters. You know
Right.
Summer is the goody two-shoes kind of leader of the class. Just by what she says, how she acts. You know Freddie doesn't care.
Right.
Zach hasn't said anything yet, so he's very quiet. He gets the sandwich from Tamika, so that's setting up a thing later.
Yep.
Now, there were more kids with snacks, but Linklater cut it. He cut a lot. He talked about pacing a lot in the commentary.
Oh, and the pacing's just so good. And you can tell that they paced everything so well because even up to the point where we are now, that's like 10 minutes.
Yeah, and there's so much was thought out, and a lot of these scenes went longer with more jokes, and he was like, well, at the end of the day, when we got into the cutting room, you didn't need it to feel the impact of the next scene. In fact, I felt you were kind of wanting to jump to the next thing rather than just watching the dialogue meander.
Yeah, and you felt like every single time I was like, oh, this is so good, and I'm ready for the next part, and then it gives me the next part, and it's so good. And so we get that next scene, so after the whole speech of the man, he's just walking through the hallway while the kids are at the music lessons.
He's taking a pee in a urinal.
That's what he's doing.
And it was a
forgot,
kid's
yeah.
urinal. I don't think it comes across as much as they wanted because Jack Black's only like 5'6", but that's a kid's urinal. So the idea was that he was peeing in a super tiny urinal.
Yeah.
But he's just kind of a small guy, so it doesn't really come across. But he hears him playing music.
Yeah, so, and then we get this awesome shot of him just like peeking into the room. The camera's outside the door, and we get this awesome shot peeking in. And then it like pans to each kid playing their instrument.
A lot of POV stuff going on, which this movie does a lot. Lots of Steadicam work. They're even using Steadicam sometimes when it looks like a locked off shot on a tripod.
I mean, it feels good. I don't know, just something about those shots.
Well, it moves. Like, not to jump back, but when he's talking to Rosemary Mullins at the beginning and they're giving some exposition in the hall, they're moving and walking through the hall.
Yeah.
So you're getting actor movement and plot movement at the same time.
Yeah, and like as me just watching the movie, I don't pay attention to that stuff, but like you feel it. Just watching it, you can feel that you're moving through the whole thing. So when we're moving, and then once we pan to each person in the lesson, we then pan back to Jack Black peeking through. And it's just so funny.
This image is burned into my brain of him doing the eyebrow. I can't do it, but him doing the eyebrow like wiggle thing.
Like,
and Richard Linklater was like, I saw you do that one time in rehearsal, and I was like, no, that's going in the movie. You're doing that.
And we get a perfect shot of that. It's so good. We now come back to the classroom with the whole rock band set up. And now we get into some of my favorite parts of the whole movie. We go through and he's just like giving roles to each person. So we start with Zach, and he's like, you play the electric guitar? And he's like, no, I've never played.
I play classical.
I play classical. And he hands him the guitar and starts playing riffs.
And he can match exactly what Jack is doing.
Yeah.
And Richard Linklater had to keep telling him to play it worse.
Oh, really?
And in the behind the scenes footage, he's the one that taught those riffs to Jack Black.
No way, that's so cool.
He's playing Smoke on the Water, and Jack Black is like screwing it up a little bit, like he's trying to find the chords, you know?
Yeah.
So they're trying to match it. So it's really funny then when you watch the movie that he's trying to match Jack, and he's nailing it. He's kind of going slow and intentionally being stiff, but he's nailing it.
Yeah, and you can kind of tell that it felt a little stiff, but like it felt...
They told him to make it feel stiff because that guy,
Yeah.
he's loose in real life because he's a rocker.
Yeah.
So they had to tell him to, you know, be stiff. You're a closed off character.
Yes. And then I think the next person we go to is Freddie.
Not Lawrence, man.
Is it Lawrence?
It's Lawrence. It's my favorite.
Lawrence next with the keyboard, and he's just so good.
He puts down he puts down Touch Me by the Doors, the sheet music, and Lawrence starts playing it. And Jack Black's like, yeah, yes! And that improv where he's like,
Stop. That's perfect. You're perfect.
and you can see while he's playing, Lawrence start to smile. Lawrence, the actor's name is Robert. They were like, yeah, Robert, we had to make sure he didn't ruin the takes because he liked to laugh a lot. So he was the biggest proponent of that.
You've got Jack Black just doing goofy crap around you. I can't blame him.
All the time.
And then we go to Freddie, I think is the next person with the drums. And
No. Katie on the bass is next, I think. I think drums are last.
You're right.
You're
I keep wanting to jump to the drums because I like that part. But yeah, so we go to the bass next, and I just love that with the cello. And he's just like, it's like a cello.
You tip it on the side, cello, you've got a bass. Try it on.
Cello. Does she actually play?
Yes.
So they all actually
She was
play
also
these
one of the
instruments.
youngest.
Oh, really?
So she wasn't, that's why she doesn't have the most screen time. But she's playing.
Okay.
They're all playing. That was Richard Linklater would not agree to do this movie unless the kids were playing for real.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's what really sells it.
Yeah, it does. And then, okay, so before I jump to the drummer, the next one is the singers, right?
I think he gets singers last. I think you're right. Now we go to the drummer.
Come on. I was like, drummer's last now. Okay, so then it's Freddie.
Yes.
And the dig on Freddie's kind of funny where he's just the kid that just bangs stuff.
I play percussion. That's because he couldn't play anything else. Shut up.
So they bring him over and put him on the drum set, and they have him do a match what Jack Black does.
And they made fun of that test because Jack Black was like, what a test for a drummer, just hitting the drums. Because it just...
Yeah, and it just feels like if I sat down at a drum set and you told me to do that.
There's only 3 drums. You can only do so much.
And it's like, doesn't even feel in time or anything.
Well, that's because Jack Black plays it real soft, and then the joke is Freddie gets there and just goes... Because then they start jamming Smoke on the Water, and Jack Black is really playing that guitar solo. You can tell because it's not a perfect dialed-in solo. But that's what really lends it that authenticity is because they're just rocking. They're honestly, they're just jamming, man.
Let's go!
So they're jamming, and then after they're done jamming, Leonard is like,
You mean we're not in a band?
No, hold up now. Just because you're not in the band doesn't mean you're not in the band.
They mentioned while Dewey is showing them how to play their instruments, how important it was to also show that Dewey did know his stuff about the rock. So he kind of mentions when Lawrence is playing piano, he's like, give me the fifth above it and in the middle one. So he's he knows his stuff, but he's not a genius. Again, you're selling the authenticity of Dewey as a character there.
Right, and you get the vibe that you're in a rock session, even though I don't play rock sessions, but I feel like I'm sitting there while something is being created.
Yeah.
And the person leading it kind of knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
Whether they're a genius or not, like, they know music.
He knows rock.
Knows rock, and there you go.
I had to learn how to play electric guitar a little bit because all I play is acoustic guitar. And I'm still not very good at electric guitar. And the truth is, I'm not very good at acoustic guitar.
So now we're at lunch, and we get this awesome interaction with him and Lawrence. And Lawrence just comes up, and he's just like,
I don't think I should be in the band.
Why not?
I'm not cool enough. People in bands are cool. I'm not cool.
This is apparently something that happened to Linklater. Robert, the actor that plays Lawrence, came up to Richard Linklater and was like, I do not think I should be in the movie. I'm not a good actor.
No
I'm not
way.
cool enough.
That makes it so much better. He is literally just Lawrence.
Yeah.
It was fun to learn rock and roll music.
That's where Dewey is just a great, just like role model in that sense. Everything else is a little iffy.
Yeah.
But in that sense, he's just like...
Because you could be the ugliest sad sack on the planet, but if you're in a rockin' band, you're the cat's pajamas, man. You're the bee's knees.
Bee's knees?
Yeah, the bee's knees. You're gonna be the most popular guy in school, trust me.
Yeah, so the next thing, we're back in the classroom, and we get to assign these rad positions. So...
Explain to me these positions that are so rad.
So rad. So I think we start on the far side with our bodyguards.
Yeah, security.
So we get Frankie, Tamika, and Fancy Pants.
Yes.
They're our bodyguards.
Yes.
And so he's like, you're the bodyguards, first job, soundproof the room. And he actually gives, like, I enjoy that. Like, you have a job. Start soundproofing the room, you're security, you're gonna pay attention to if anyone's coming.
And immediately Fancy Pants is like, can I be the stylist instead? And he's like, of course you can, Fancy Pants.
Yeah. And then we get to our last people, which is Summer and two blondes.
Yeah, they're gonna be...
The groupies.
Yeah. And Jack was like not sure about saying this line to kids.
Yeah.
And it works though.
It does.
Because like as a kid, I was just like, I didn't think anything of it. And the way he describes it of just like, your job is simple. Worship the band. And your first assignment,
Cheerleaders.
name the band.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah.
Well, it's funny because the two girls, the two blondes are like, yeah. And Summer's just like,
I don't know about this.
yeah. And I think that goes into our next scene, which is the next morning where Summer's just sitting there at a tree waiting.
She's got her scowl, which they said they worked on real hard. And it's like, she's just like,
It feels like
so far, her face is twisted.
But it feels like a little kid scowling at me, like trying so hard to scowl at me. It's perfect.
Yeah.
And she had done her research on what a groupie is, and is like,
They're sluts. They sleep with a band.
No, that's not true. They're like cheerleaders.
love this part, how quickly Dewey comes up with the solution. He is just like, I didn't want to tell the others. I wanted to do this separately because I didn't want to make them jealous, but I actually have a secret position for you that's more important than all the others. You're band manager.
Band manager?
What is that?
That means you have the power. And she's like, I'm down.
Yeah. He's like, well, I'm trying to rock and sing. You control everything else.
You got to make sure everybody's doing their job.
Now she's into it.
She's into it.
So we get back, and I love how instantly when we're back in the classroom, she's instantly like,
well, as band manager, shouldn't I be doing this?
When you start a band...
Mr. Schneebly, before we start, shouldn't I first take attendance?
Okay, fine.
he's taking attendance, and like 3 people in, Dewey's just like, okay, everyone's here, and then just
He
shoves her.
Let's see, Tamika.
Okay, we're all here. Look.
And then he starts like talking about rock and is like finding out
Who's your favorite band.
Who's your favorite band? And people
And
are
we
saying
get Liza Minnelli, Puff Daddy, Christina Aguilera.
Yeah.
And man, he has a fit. So now he creates a new schedule.
Yeah. So we got music theory, I think.
It's first up, it's music history, then music appreciation and
then
theory.
and then
band practice till the end of the day.
Yeah. So with that, he has doing that schedule has Summer go up and write it, and that's where.
Question. How are we being graded in all this? I mean, since I'm band manager and I have the most responsibility.
Summer, if you grade Grub one more time, I will send you back to the first grade. You got it?
And then we get this awesome montage kind of thing.
No, not yet.
Oh,
at first they're
jumping?
like, well, what are we gonna play?
Oh.
And he's like, well,
yes.
we got
How can I
awesome
forget
material
this?
that I wrote. And they're like, well, let's hear it.
What?
And then he starts describing the stage show. And this is my favorite part, is not only is he thinking about the song, he's like, a single beam of light, and then smoke. Roadies, that means dry ice. And so he's describing the light show, he's describing the pyrotechnic aspect, he's describing everything. And then as the song goes and he's developing and he's like, this is where some ooh-la-las come in from the backup singers. This is where I'm going to take a crazy solo here. Zach, you come in with a crazy riff here. He's just like describing the whole thing. And as he's going, he's just like snowballing into this mess of a rock show.
Oh,
it's legendary.
It's so good. And the song's kind of like, it's just him complaining about being kicked out of his band.
Yes. And having to pay the rent.
And having to pay the rent.
But the legend of the rent was way hardcore.
Boom! Big old explosion. Some like confetti comes down. I don't know. That's all I got so far.
Yeah, it's oh my god, and I love how the kids just go with it because
like,
the next
oh, okay.
the next scene after that is them all practicing.
Yeah,
and it's starting to actually sound good because all the kids are actually playing and they're actually learning the song that he had just created.
Yeah,
oh, it's so.
I
good.
do want to mention how that whole thing is a one take. That's a one shot.
Oh, him
And
doing the whole
the Steadicam slowly pulling back from him, and when Jack Black saw it for the first time, he's like, I don't know, man, that's a lot of me. It might be too much me. I'm used to cutting away from me.
Oh, but it's so good.
It works
it's
perfectly.
Perfect. So now we're into the montage and the learning and them going through all the music and playing, and it's just
he's pointing to the board. That board, man, I studied that as a kid, basically for just references. What can I listen to next? Who's on this board that I haven't heard of, you know? All the iconic bands named, and they actually put it up for the cast and crew over the course of a couple days so that people could be like, well, I think maybe this band should be included here, maybe this band should be over here. So when looking at it, it's like, damn, that's a pretty close to comprehensive list of almost everything you could want in like a Rock 101 class.
That's pretty cool. Because like when you're watching it, like me not knowing anything about rock, I feel like, oh shit, he knows his stuff. Like he's actually teaching rock. Like I want to be part of this class.
Yeah.
Why can't I be in there? Like why, when I was in 5th grade, why I got this crappy, I'm learning math. I want to learn this.
Well, we had music class, but it was like, okay, hit quarter notes on the sticks. And I was like boring.
Or recorders. Yeah.
Recorders.
Are we gonna be goofing off like this every day?
We're not goofing off. We're creating musical fusion.
Well, are we gonna be creating musical fusion every day?
Yeah, get used to it.
As scene ends with him handing out assignments, which I'll let you explain.
Oh, this is one of my favorite scenes. I've gone through every one of these albums in my years because this scene is just implanted in my brain. He gives, for Blondie, drummer gets Neil Peart, of course, 2112, one of my favorite Rush albums. For Lawrence, yes, that's the name of the band. Listen to the keyboard solo on Roundabout. It will blow the classical music out your butt.
And that's every pick was perfect.
Every pick was perfect.
Yeah.
Really great.
And then we get our last person, Tamika, which I love her.
I love
such
Tamika
a
so much.
great
Tamika
character.
and Lawrence might be, while I fancy myself maybe a Zach or a Freddie, I'm more of a Lawrence or a Tamika.
Yeah.
And the way Tamika comes up, I don't want to be secure. I don't want to be a bodyguard. I want to be a singer. Well, I got to hear you sing.
Yeah.
I can't make you sing if I don't hear her sing. And then she just belts it.
and it's great.
Tamika, I can't let you be a singer if you can't sing.
You told me to leave you alone. My papa said, come on home. My doctor said, take it easy.
And that's where you get the hint of like, well, she's a shyer character.
Yeah.
She doesn't necessarily want the fame and spotlight.
Yeah, very
but she
relatable.
appreciates the craft of singing.
Yeah.
And she's got the talent to back it up.
Yep. And then what does he give? He gives her right off the bat, like, since you're a singer now. I don't know what band.
Who does he give her?
Who does she give her? That whole like interaction is just so relatable.
Oh my gosh, I'm a moron. Dark Side of the Moon. He gives her Dark Side of the Moon. Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon says, listen to the vocal solo on Great Gig in the Sky.
That's right.
I was like, yeah, absolutely. One of the greatest albums of all time.
From there, I think we start interacting with the faculty more.
Yeah.
And we start building that relationship with the faculty, and he
starts insulting them.
Just starts insulting them, like.
But anyway, I just decided to give up on myself and become a teacher because those that can't do, teach. And those that can't teach gym.
Yeah, so it's kind of building up to him learning about the principal and building that relationship, and learning that she's a Jimi Hendrix.
No, Stevie Nicks.
Stevie
from
Nicks.
Fleetwood Mac.
Oh, that's right, Stevie Nicks fan. So he learned that the principal is a Stevie Nicks fan, and he needs her permission to get a field trip.
Yes.
So we get that kind of locked away in the back of our heads that if you put that on, she'll get drunk. They all get in the van, and then they drive to auditions for Battle of the Bands. So you have to audition to get into the competition. And they show up, and we get like all these guys just like all rock dudes.
Well, it's
just being like,
there's the band from earlier that kicked Jack Black out of their band.
Yep.
There's also the band that writes the song at the end that they play at Battle of the Bands. They're a band called the Mooney Suzuki. They wrote that song.
Oh, okay.
They have kind of a cameo while they're walking through the hallway.
That's
again
calls out like
more
the
great
kids.
tracking shots.
Then we get this awesome interaction with Tamika, which is just a pep talk because she was feeling shy and she was like, "I don't think I can do this," and he was like, "Why don't you think you can do this? You're fantastic," and he's like, "Are you stage shy?" And she's like, "Yeah, I don't think people will like me because I'm fat."
Yeah,
and his pep talk is just great. He's just like, Aretha Franklin's on the bigger side, but no one cares because she is just amazingly talented.
And when she starts singing, everyone wants to party with Aretha. You know who else has a weight problem?
Yeah.
Me.
But once I get up on stage, start doing my thing, people worship me because I'm sexy and chubby, man.
Oh, that is one of the greatest pep talks ever. Because there's
So
no
good.
harm in knowing what you are,
Right.
as long as you rock it, man.
Yeah. And if you're comfortable in your own skin and show your talent, people will love you.
Yeah.
No matter what.
Yep.
Which is, I think, just a great message.
That's kind of
in
the whole
general.
moral of the film is the passion of rock and all the cultural boundaries and background boundaries that rock can cross, and that anybody can do it. Anybody can and to a larger extent, anybody can make music.
Yeah.
And that's all that matters. Doesn't matter who you are, you can do it.
Yeah, which great message. Great message. And then we jump back. Freddie's hanging out with some random band.
Some guys invited him out to their van.
What? Come on, you guys.
Oh, now it's a problem. Now kids in a van is a problem.
How could you take a kid out here, blah, 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 and is like acting like a parent.
And that's
Freddie-
exactly what he did, though, was abduct kids.
Yeah, exactly. That's the irony of it.
Yeah.
Oh.
And that was originally much longer, but they cut it for pacing because it's like, that's all you need. Like, you threw a beer bottle at him or something at one point. Not needed. All you need is the point.
After that, we try to audition. And auditions are over when they walk in. And he's like, we practiced, we've done all this. And the dude's like, they're kids. Auditions are over, they're closed, we're done. And he just starts getting crazy. I think he like kicks a chair.
He does. He likes to kick things in this movie.
Yes, he does. He's wild at some points. And So he goes,
Redonkulous, some would
so
say.
crazy, they won't let him do it. They walk out, and then Summer has this genius idea to get them on the bill.
Let's pretend like all the kids are dying of a horrible disease.
Stick it to the man.
Eosis. Stick it to the maniosis.
Stick it to maniosis.
I love the shot of the kids where they're like coughing and stuff, and Freddy's just lying down dead in the street.
Just flat on the ground. And then he comes out, and then they all get up. Freddy gets up, and then he's like,
cut it out, you're dying.
You're dying. And Freddy just goes right back down.
And you don't even see it because the frame is above the street now. You just see him go, out of frame.
He's just out of frame. Oh, it's so good. So they're on the bill now.
They're on the bill, and this is when they're driving along in some neighborhood, and Led Zeppelin comes on. And very famously, Jack Black had to beg Led Zeppelin to let them use their song because Led Zeppelin is stingy when it comes to that kind of thing.
Lords of Rock, Led Zeppelin! Lords of Rock, Led Zeppelin! Grace us with your mighty love! Grace us with your mighty love!
Now we have to start prepping for the field trip. So he takes the principal out to get that permission.
Yes.
And he's like, you want to get coffee? And then takes her to like...
Cut to a waiter walking to their table with 2 mugs of beer.
And the waiter's so like... I can't
what
even
is he
describe.
dressed as? He's
like an elf or something.
I don't know what's going on there.
And she's like, are you sure you don't have any coffee? And he's just like, no.
That's not coffee.
And you're sure you don't have any coffee?
Uh-huh, I'm quite sure.
He looks like the Keebler elf. You're right. He belongs in a cookie box.
Yes. Oh, that was funny. And then they start talking, and then he's just like, and then he puts on
Stevie Nicks.
Edge
of 17.
And he comes back, and he's like dancing.
And he does like a white-winged dove, and he does this little... And then he starts going into the snap.
The principal's like...
Oh, she's immediately like, I love this song, and into it, and he's trying to pitch this field trip, and she is not listening to him.
The Philharmonic, they do the classics, they do Beethoven, Mozart, Enya, that kind of stuff.
Kind of at this point, right? So just...
Well...
He's teaching for like 3 weeks.
No, then they drive back to the school.
Right.
And they have kind of an intimate conversation, and this is where you get a peek behind the Rosemary Mullins character.
I wasn't always like this, you know. I wasn't always wound this tight. There was a time when I was fun. I was funny. I was. But you can't be funny and be the principal of a prep school. No, you cannot. Because when it comes to their kids, these parents, they have no sense of humor. No, and if anything goes wrong, it's my head. All right, it's my head in the smasher. These parents will come down on me like a nuclear bomb.
So this scene went on a little longer originally. They made out.
Oh, what?
Yeah, and they cut that. It was in for maybe one festival showing, and they cut it because Richard Linklater was like, nah, it ruins it. They don't need it. It doesn't work.
It doesn't feel needed.
No, not at all. That's when I heard that. I was like, oh, I don't put that back in.
No. Well, I'm glad they cut it.
Yeah.
Because she's like clearly at this point more than a beer in. It feels like she even says she's drunk, but
I think she's just getting emotionally worked up in the moment. I don't know if she's necessarily drunk. Maybe a little tipsy, but yeah, it just doesn't work. I don't think it would have worked.
No. But they have that whole interaction, which kind of builds their relationship a little bit, and she's starting to trust Dewey more.
Now they understand each other.
Ned. And they're starting to, So at that point, I think we jump to the next day or whatever, and they're still teaching.
It's parent-teacher night is coming up, and then she asks him to go with him. He's like, well, I wasn't planning on going.
Yeah.
But you have to come. You're their teacher. You have to give the presentation.
So she's like, pick me up at 6. And this is where he cuts back to being at the apartment. And he's getting ready, and Ned is like, what you getting ready for? He's like, I got a hot date. And just, and at the same time, Ned is opening up his mail. And he has a check from the school for $1,200. And he's like, I've never worked here before. So
He's going to call them.
I'm going to call.
They'd be like, what's up?
And Dewey freaks out, goes over and like pushes on the phone to hang up.
Mhm.
And is like, don't say anything. But I messed up. I've been teaching.
What did you do, Dewey?
What did you do? I've been teaching. I've been doing what you do, and I've been temping.
He's like, I was teaching, and then the kids, and they rock, man.
Oh, this
and then
is so good.
And then Lawrence, he was like, I'm not cool, but then he's the coolest guy, and he's like, on the piano. And then the principal, she's like, oh, sad man. And then they cut out a line where he says, and then she made out with me.
Oh.
So they had to cut that.
That's funny.
One day. That's all I ask, Ned. And then I will come clean. I'll tell everyone it was my fault. He had nothing to do with it. You'll be fine one day.
And he's like, don't tell your girlfriend. And the girlfriend walks in. She's like, what's going on?
Yeah.
And he walks out. And he's like, I gotta leave. I got a hot date.
Yeah.
And he's like, good.
And then that scene ends with the girlfriend just looking at Ned, just like...
Again, originally a much longer scene where they debated and she coaxed it out of him. But all you need is that look.
You just need that look because you know she's getting it out of him.
What's going on, Ned?
And then we jump to the parents. So he's now telling them,
math, science,
geography. I mean,
all the stuff you want your kids
everything
to
you
know.
think they needed.
I gotcha.
And then he's like, okay, goodbye. Good, bye.
And then he goes into his whole spiel about, I love your kids. They're awesome and amazing. Summer's going to be the next president.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the greatest joke in the whole movie.
Oh.
And no, I'm not a licensed teacher, but I have been touched by your kids. And I'm pretty sure I've touched them. What?
Oh my God!
I think they jump to the principal talking to the parents at this point.
Yeah.
And she's just like,
One second.
1 second.
And she goes out, takes a break, and she hears that the kids are missing. And she comes back in classic teacher presentation mode, goes,
I've just been informed that all of your children are missing. So,
And this is where the kids have gotten in the bus for the field trip and are picking up Dewey.
yes.
And this is the scene I was going to talk about was we get that scene again where it's him laying down flat with no shirt on and just like a slob,
In his bed,
like a
yeah.
slob in his bed. And he wakes up to Freddie kicking him. And he's like, Mr. or Dewey or whatever, we got to go do the band. We got to go do the show. And he's like, I'm the loser. You don't need to listen to me or whatever. And we get this awesome shot where Freddie's just like,
Well, and then there's a callback too, where he's like, one great rock show can change the world.
oh yeah.
Look out the window. So then they look out the window, and it's a POV from that window looking through all the telephone wires and the power wires down to the bus on the street, and all the kids are like, come on, we gotta go rock.
And it just looks so atmospheric where like you got a kid on the bus, the hood of the bus.
Is there a kid on the hood of the bus?
Yeah, there's a kid just sitting on the
Who
hood
is
of
it?
the
Is it Leonard?
I don't know. He's just like chilling, and then you got kid on the curb, two kids just like looking up. Like that's such a cool shot.
So then he gets on the bus and he's trying to apologize, and Summer is like, we don't have time for that. We got a show to play. So then they go to the show.
I'm going to the show. You want to go?
Yeah, I want to go. Are you serious?
I don't want to miss this, Patty.
Character development.
Yep.
We love it.
All the parents,
Yep.
the principal, they're all like, we got to go to the show. So they go to the show, and they're like, we're not letting you in without a ticket. So
Yep.
they all got to buy tickets, and they worm their way up to the front. And then the show starts after they've done their prayer, and they've agreed to play Zach's song,
Yes.
which is very important.
Yep.
Because Zach was a closed-off character, but now he's written a song.
The band had learned it because that's what
Because that's
bands
what you do. You learn each other's songs.
Yep. And at this point, Jack Black's character has like made that, like, is being honest with himself. Like, maybe I'm not that good, and that's why I haven't been winning, and like that's why my songs just aren't that good. And he's like, Zach, you got real talent, and he's like passing the torch here almost. And that's where he kind of really becomes like a teacher in my eyes.
Yeah.
Where he's like truly teaching the
He's
next
willing
generation.
to take the back seat.
Yeah.
For a
And passing
moment.
it. For a moment.
But Zach is like, will you sing it? Because I'm not much of a singer.
Like,
He's like,
sure?
okay.
It's your song.
Yeah. So he's still the lead singer of the song.
Yeah.
So not that much of a backseat, but an emotional backseat.
An emotional backseat, and also like still cool.
Yeah.
Still cool that they're playing his song. So they go out.
I thought that was the kid at first. I was like, which one of them has the flowing hair like that?
I love Lawrence's hair. And he's wearing a cape like the keyboardist from Yes wore a cape, like a wizard. There he is, the organ. I love it. It's so good.
And then we get all the solos, and we get all those shots, and then the whole like animations in the background are pretty cool with the School of Rock animations. That,
And everybody's dressed. Lawrence is dressed.
Yeah.
He's got kind of a cape, which is a nod to Rick Wakeman from Yes. And I like that it's kind of a hint that like he went home, researched Yes, and kind of adopted some of those principles.
And then he had the spiky hair. Yeah.
Zach's got a mohawk, or Zach's got the hat. Freddie's got a mohawk. Jack's wearing his schoolboy uniform that Billy made for him.
Fancy pants made for him. And then the kid up top just Gordon just was like,
love Gordon.
Just walks into these people doing all the lights and stuff. And he's just like,
I got this.
He's doing all the lights, the
animations, all the stage directions, and we
So
get glimpses of. There's Marco on the side spraying the dry ice, so that comes back.
Yo! Yay!
That's all he's ever wanted.
Every time you watch it, you can notice another piece.
Yeah, exactly.
And it just is so rewatchable because of that.
Yeah. And I love how in the song, every player gets a moment to shine. You know, Zach's got his solo. Lawrence has a keyboard solo.
Yeah.
Tamika gets a kind of a vocal solo.
Yep.
You got the backup singers, and they're doing their dances.
And all the parents,
great.
and all the parents are starting to be like,
Your son is very skilled. Thanks. So is yours.
Yeah. They're all like, oh, wow. They're all real proud of each kid. That was just cool.
So then after the song, Rosemary Mullins approaches Dewey backstage, and she's like, that was amazing. And he's like, you're not mad? And she's like,
I'm furious!
After that whole scene at the concert, so they lost.
They lose.
They lose the Battle of the Bands. But the crowd starts.
Well, Dewey's kind of mad. And I think it's Freddie is like, no, it's Zach. He's like, so what, man? We played a kick-ass show.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
It was like,
then-
it wasn't about winning.
And the audience is like, boo, no vacancy, boo. And there's one dude in the audience going,
So they start screaming School of Rock, and Jack Black is just like, oh, encore?
encore time.
Let's go. And they all go back out, and the whole band goes out.
Okay, everybody, just go. Just everybody
go.
out there. No, just the band.
And everyone's just like, I love Frankie. Is just
he's bobbing, man.
So we get another song, and they're just singing, and then
it starts Long Way to the Top, the AC/DC song, which was just sprung on them on that day. So
Oh, really?
The one shot where they start playing, Jack has to know the lyrics. For some reason, he kept futzing up the lyrics, and he was really hard on himself in the commentary. He's like, I should have known that. It's AC/DC, man. What a moron I am. And that fades into kind of our end credits scene.
which is we now have a School of Rock.
Starts on Summer. She's the manager walking in, and it shows a School of Rock.
Yeah, she's like, if you want to book my band or whatever. And
Stop
she's like,
lowballing us.
Yeah, so she's booking the band gigs and stuff, which is cool.
And then we're inside, and they're playing Long Way to the Top. And that's how we start getting the credits to roll. And they're literally in this scene. That's all improv. That's the last thing they shot. They just went, all right, go ahead, play the song, go. They had 2 cameras, and that's it. They're just playing. But then when it gets to Marta, the blonde, who he gave Blondie, and she does the movie's over, but we're still on screen, improv.
Really?
Not planned.
No
she just
way.
did that. Yeah.
No way.
She just did that. It's incredible.
That's so
I went my whole life
good.
thinking, oh, wow, they're so smart to have written this like that.
Yeah, I thought they did that. I thought that was all written in. I was going to say, when you said all improv, I was like, everything's improv but that part.
She broke the fourth wall just gunning for it.
That's so good.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I would have if I saw this, I didn't see this in theaters. If I had saw that
Well,
in
we were
theaters,
babies.
That's true.
Well, toddlers.
I would have
guess.
been
3.
4, 3.
Whatever.
Either way.
Yeah.
God, I wish I had seen that in theaters. Because I can just be sitting in my seat, seeing the credits coming and getting that whole improv, and I would have just been geeking.
There's post-credit scenes nowadays, but there's not
that
end credit scenes. The credits are rolling while they're singing, and I love it. I do not know that guy.
I do not know that guy. So good. Whole movie as a whole, God, it's pretty dang close to a perfect movie.
I would argue it's as perfect as this movie can be. You cannot do this movie better. There's not a flaw.
No. While I was prepping for this video, I looked at the reunion. They did like a 10-year reunion with all of them playing. And like, oh, it's so cool to see all of them because they're all still playing their instruments.
Except one.
Yes. I learned about that today. I didn't realize.
Yeah.
So
Freddie passed away. The actor, his name was Kevin Clark Jr.
Yep.
Passed away of a cycling accident. Somebody hit him on his bike in Chicago.
I think he was in his
on the way to, he was in his 30s, on the way to, I think, a band practice. Because he had just started a new band.
I think it was in 2021. 2021, I think.
Recent.
Yeah. Yeah, I was
God,
like,
what a shame.
That's so sad. But you can just tell that they all loved working on this movie.
Yeah.
They all came back to the reunion. They were all like there singing the song. I think that the end credits were.
They did Long Way to the Top by AC/DC.
And they were like doing the solos again. And then they at the reunion they had like Frankie and all of them sing, and they can't sing, but it's funny because they're all there just singing, and oh, it's so good, so good. You can just tell that they made a lot of friendships and just made a good movie together.
I mean, they all regard it as a highlight of their career. I mean, I think it's the defining film of Jack Black's career. It's his masterpiece.
I don't watch a lot of Jack Black films. This is definitely my favorite Jack Black film.
So when I was a kid, this was a huge movie that we watched all the time, and it led us down a rabbit hole of other Jack Black films. Like Nacho Libre was another favorite of ours. That was the director of Napoleon Dynamite, so then you get kind of a crossover there.
If you haven't seen School of Rock, please go check it out. And it's been years since you've seen School of Rock, now is the time to put it back in and rewatch it because
it holds up.
Holds up 100%.
Just a well-crafted film. That's why I don't believe you have to be a music person to enjoy this movie. You can be a movie person or a music person, or you could be a comedy person, or you could just be looking for a good hour 45 minutes. I mean, it's great.
Yeah,
it flies by. It's just a well-crafted piece of
movie.
art.
Yeah, for sure. So in the comments, let us know if you watched it recently. Put your rating. Give us input on the movie, what you like, what's your favorite part, what's your favorite character. Give us everything. Give us a subscribe if you like the content. Heck yeah. See you guys next time. How should I intro that? Because I know the prayer.
I have no idea.
I know the prayer. God of Rock. Shit.
I know the prayer.
I know it. I swear.